afternoon. I want to welcome you to this agenda review meeting of the Nacogdoches Independent School District Board of Trustees. Let the record show that a quorum of the board members are present and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. Our thoughts and prayers are with Secretary Mindy Winslow, who is a little under the weather, and also Ms. Pitcock is not present with us today. Let me remind us that the items on the agenda today for our discussion are for discussion only. No action will be taking place at this particular meeting. Please join us with turning your phones to some type of silent mode. We didn't receive any requests to address the board as outlined in the meeting notice. And with that being said, we will go right into our consent agenda. And the first item is board minutes. So were there any questions or concerns with the board minutes? All right, if not, we'll call on Ms. Barbarick for business office reports.
Good afternoon, President Irvin, board members, Dr. Trujillo. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, I can. Are y'all good?
All right. So normally I present budget amendments first, but since we are presenting June, we're a month behind. There are no budget amendments. So the new year's budget amendments will start next week. So I'd like to move on to the gifts and donations under $2,500. And you'll find those beginning on page 16. We have one donation of $500 to the special ed department. Excuse me. From Pilgrim's Pride. Any questions on donations?
Just want to thank them for their patronage of our district.
All right. The next item is our investment report. And from the investment report, you should see that our interest earnings have increased. And I do want to point out a $3 million contribution to bond fund, which would seem odd because we're pulling out. Well, that is due to because we got ESSER funds, we moved some of our bond expenditures to ESSER. And so that freed that up. So we're just reinvesting it. It's already, we have potential uses for that in the future. Any questions on the investments? Okay.
Thank you.
Just a question, integrity of a bond stays the same, correct?
I'm sorry.
I said the bond money is still would be expended through the bond project, correct?
We spent,
Am I making sense?
Say it again.
Repeat your statement that you
so
said.
we have several HVAC
Right,
that were supposed to pay paid through the bond.
right,
They are now going to be paid out of ESSER,
okay.
which freed up money in the bond, which will help cover some of our, where we've overspent in buildings.
Okay, in other words, the bond money would be still spent on the bond?
Yeah, oh, yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's my
yes, yes.
Thank you, Coach, for giving
All
me
right.
this clarity.
And then on the miscellaneous business office reports, I wanted to point out to you, you're missing the capital projects detail and the bond projects detail. Due to me being out for the past 2 weeks, that was not completed. We will have 2 months for you next time. And if you have any other questions on the report, so I'll take them now.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we'll go to C, purchases over $25,000.
reimbursement for that. Their fee is 8%, and we are estimating that we will need $40,000 to pay their fee for the year.
But we will be refunded. Will we be refunded for that?
Well, we normally get about an extra $400,000, and then their fee is, yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay, the next item is RCI. I am pulling that as the amount we need is under $25,000, so it doesn't require board approval. So I would like to pull that. And then the next item is Workers' Comp Solutions. We have a 5-year agreement with them, and this is our 3rd year that we are using. The budget impact is local funds estimated at $251,229.60, and that is our what we pay to provide workers' comp for our employees.
And you're saying that'll be another 5 years?
No, we're in our 3rd year of 5.
Not 5?
Yes.
And this amount is not for 5 years, it's per year, correct?
Per year, yes.
Yes, the annual
Yes.
cost.
Is any idea how much for compensation we have given people, in other words, per year?
I would not know that.
Yes.
Falls under human resource.
Okay. Just curious.
I guess, Coach, what I think you're asking is, or what we're paying out, is it covering what we're having to pay out for benefits? Is that what?
No, my question was, have we been able to use any of it for our people who requested workers'
Oh, okay.
compensation?
Okay.
Something like claims.
I know we have, I just don't know how much.
Yes, I just curious that we are.
Okay.
Mr. Martin, can you mark that question, and then I can get an answer from Mr. Whitaker?
Yes, sir.
I will tell you this, because we're in year 3 of 5, and things have occurred in the last 24 months that has been pretty catastrophic nationwide, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at year 5
Yeah.
when the adjustments come in, so we'll have to prepare accordingly. But it's not just going to be here at Nacogdoches, it'll be everywhere across, based on all the things that are impacting the workforce that we have, so.
Any other questions? Dr. Hill.
Good afternoon, Reverend Irvin, or President Irvin, board members, and Superintendent Trujillo. If you'll look on page 60 of your board book, you'll see an updated or a most recent STEM Academy. We are actually in year 9 of our STEM Academy, and there's a couple of corrections that I found out late in the last week. So for example, we're actually going to have about 140 participants this year. And so on your quote, it says 29, and after meeting with Dr. Redfield last Wednesday, it's actually going to be 31 ninth grade students that were accepted into the STEM Academy this year. So we've increased our numbers, so we're very pleased about that. But SFA has been really good and keeping the amount the same of $120,000.
Is that unlimited students?
No, sir, actually in our MOU, it actually says 29, but we're going to make an exception this year and go up to 31. So
Okay.
usually, and Reverend Art, that's a great question, because they try to keep it about what we would be in a class load for, because they're typically slated into one section, and so 31 we know is high, but we also know that these are some of the highest performing students.
But the budget is for 29, is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing, that what we're paying is for 29 students?
Yes, sir. But
And
we're
so what
actually,
happens to the other extra 2 students that we're going to,
she's going to leave, they're going to leave the fee the same.
they're going to, okay.
Yes, I made sure that I clarified that, but the fee is going to stay the same at $120,000.
Something that I learned is some of the people that are in athletics have to actually take summer school so they can be in STEM. And so that's okay, because they're willing to do it, because this is a very valuable part of training. This was a woman, or a female student, that told me this, but they're interested in investigating that. So STEM is just like investigating CTE, and those are very critical areas. We need to funnel as many people have curiosity into that, and I'm really proud of the job that we all are doing, us up front and all out there, and the students.
Other questions? Okay. C5, Dr. Hill.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Irvin. So you'll notice that there's one action sheet, but there are 4 different e-agreements on this one action sheet because it's the same vendor. Some of these are annual with one little tweaking of an exception. So the first one is our text resource system. We've been using it annually as our written curriculum portal. It's for our core content subject area, excuse me. This particular co-op is $30,000 and will be funded out of instructional materials allotment. The second one is our academic content cooperative agreement. This provides professional learning sessions during our school year, webinars as well as face-to-face. It again is also based on core content subject areas. The third one that you see there is DMAC Solutions. That's our, for lack of a better word, our data management portal for both our local and state assessments. But we also do so much more with it, including our RTI and our MTSS. That's the new language for the state. Our student plans. It has a component to do an assessment generator called TechScore. We do have our HB 4545 student accelerated learning plans in there under FormWorks. We also do T-TEST and T-PEST via DMAC, so it's kind of a one catch-all electronic portal that we use for multiple reasons. And then lastly, you have the Title I. We have purchased the Title I in the past, however, we've just purchased the professional development component. This year, we're going with the complete package. While we do have a federal programs coordinator within the district, last year we also consulted with an outside entity to help build her capacity and learning the ins and outs of what it takes to be a federal programs. And so this is 1 year that we're going to forego her services, but we want the complete package with Region 7 to make sure that we are receiving the expert advice in order to comply with not only the application implementation, but then also the compliance measures on the other end.
So will the funds come out of ESSER?
We just put federal funds. In the past, it's come out of a combination of funds, but it will be federal.
Okay.
I don't know necessarily ESSER, but it will be federal.
Dr. Hill, I have a couple of information questions.
Okay, I'll do my best.
It says instructional coaches, leadership team, and teachers depends upon the level of implementation. In other words, are we sending leadership team, instructional group, coaches?
So what happens is with this, so Text Resource System is a web-based portal.
Right.
And so we are able to customize documents as well as look at our scope and sequence document. So, but it also provides professional development services for all of those positions that are
Yeah.
listed.
Okay.
I don't think I answered your question. Try me
You
again.
do, in other words, we can cater to what we want.
Yes.
Okay. Next question I have, it says, you can have a face-to-face video conferencing or meetings or through audible or face-to-face. What do you think we are more capable of using that, or what do you suggest for our teachers?
I'm old school, so I
Yes.
prefer face-to-face learning
Face-to-face, okay.
versus Zoom or any type of virtual learning. But sometimes in a crunch, when we just don't have time to travel back and forth, we like to do Zoom just to save some time. But I think most people prefer face-to-face.
And again, these are all information, not just, is there a record keeping of how many times or how often we use those resources?
We do, yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a question, but I'm not sure that it's for right here. With all these things that we're buying, A lot of this is electronic. Nothing that comes with this is a filtering. That, what we buy just goes into our system and it's filtered above, right?
Correct.
Okay, is that
Yes,
right?
and it goes through all of our filtering, is that what you're talking about, filtering services? So
Right, so
we use-
that's fine. I saw Ms. Morris earlier, but the basic thing is, no matter what we buy, it's filtered from all the devices, the
Yes.
teachers and the students and anybody else like us here. We're filtered too.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
President Irving, I might add, and board, when you read the term e-agreement, one thing that we were very fortunate to do is Dr. Hill and the team, we traveled over to Region 7. And they got an opportunity to see each one of these items very tailored to their specific areas. For instance, if we're talking about safety, Mr. Barton was able to attend with other school districts on the type of items that deal with safety, not just in cybersecurity, but also networking systems. Our CFO, Lisa, was able to go in and look at financial reports, financial e-agreements that we can get with Region 7. Dr. Hill, as well with Dr. Corley, was able to go in and see some of the things that we can participate with. And what we're fortunate with is, because this is a service that's provided through Region 7, sometimes they'll come to us. Sometimes they'll go to Lufkin, and rather than having our folks travel all the way up to Kilgore, we'll go to Lufkin. Fortunately, and we're going to work on this, is maybe we'll host something here at Nacogdoches. So when we're talking about virtual, we might be face-to-face, but there might be broadcasting. Our service center does that. Matter of fact, some of the sessions we attended, we were there physically, face-to-face, but for those individuals that were unable to come in and get the training, they provided them an opportunity to do a virtual setup. Region 7 is such a wide area. When we go all the way from Lufkin and a little bit south and go all the way up past 30, Interstate 30 up to the northern part of East Texas, it's a broad area. So when you see the e-agreement, it's not just saying that it's an electronic version. It's basically our e-agreement with Region Service Center on providing services for our teachers, our principals, our leadership, this cabinet, with regards to some of the support that we have. And I just wanted to clarify some of the, when you see the e-agreements, that's what basically we're looking at with the face-to-face and virtual opportunities. But hopefully, we're going to host some things here in our community as well, so.
For the online courses, will it be user-friendly for our faculty and staff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Usually Region 7, if I don't answer your question, please correct me, but usually they use the Zoom format.
Okay.
So, because, we went virtual several years ago, several of us have become quite equipped with using Zoom, but we're wishing we could, forego that information and return face-to-face as
That would
much
be
as
good.
possible.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, the Frontline education system.
Absolutely.
Dr. Hill.
Thank you, President Irvin. So this is another management software, if you will, for student records. We use Frontline in both special education as well as our 504 to keep us in compliance. So whenever you hear like a student's IEP, individualized education plan, those are housed within this system. And so this is an annual renewal. It's a system we've been using for quite some time.
Again, I have a question for my own information.
All right.
If we are not in compliance, do they inform us, or somebody has to inform them?
So typically, it is more of a data entry,
Right.
but there are some reports that Dr. Young can receive to make sure that all the diagnosticians are within the timeline for special education, because there's a very specific timeline on when an initial referral was made, when we have to have the testing done, when we have to have the ARD, the admission review and dismissal meeting completed. So there is a document, but for the most part, yes, sir, but it's something that Dr. Young manages, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, my question was, is if we are not within compliance, somehow they let us know?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I would like to say to Dr. Young that we thank you so much for doing such a good job, not just with the students, but with all the educators in this area. It's just a real critical area, and thank you so much. And please don't hold up your ring, because it'll blind me. She just got married.
Congratulations. Okay, now we'll move to the Gina Mayo contract. Dr. Hill.
Thank you, President Irvin. So this is a contract for a certified occupational therapy assistant, and so this will be the first time that we will be using the services of this individual.
She will be assisting the lady that we've already.
She's actually going to be providing services as well as assessments to students with special needs who need occupational therapy.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Questions?
Oh, I do have a question. Who supervises her then? Like, what, does she have an occupational therapist that supervises her work?
I'm going to, if I may, defer to Dr. Audrey Young, if I may ask her to come to the podium. I don't want to give you misinformation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr.
Welcome. Welcome to school board life. Yes, we actually have 2 occupational therapists on staff and an occupational therapist assistant on staff already. But as you all know, that our numbers in special education have increased from around 500 students to, as of May, 802. We are pleased to be offering these services to our students. We believe that we're doing a phenomenal job, but with those services come increased staff that have to provide those services. And so in this particular case, we need a part-time CODA. So we have requested contract services for this position. Any other questions?
I think she wanted to know, would she be supervised?
Now that I know, I'm learning that we have OTs on staff, that means there is supervision.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hill. The Thomas Bus.
President
Mr. Michael
Irving,
Martin.
we're going to be pulling this item from the
Okay.
agenda, so if you'll strike it from your agenda,
Okay.
and then we can proceed.
Mr. Martin, Absolute Technology.
Good afternoon, President Irvin, members of the board, Dr. Trujillo. Administration is proposing to purchase a unlimited support agreement with Absolute Technology. And it is a support for technology that helps us to make sure that all of our technical equipment as well as our services are in order. They do everything from server redundancy, server replacement. They've helped us with new construction, battery backups, network monitoring tools. They helped us with outages, internet outages. We are looking at upgrading our phone systems, which are 8 years old. We're also looking at implementing something called InformerCast, which is an upgrade to the phone systems to assist us with alerting and informing our staff about any type of emergency situations. Absolute also does ongoing server maintenance and networking maintenance as well. Also, they help us with scanning to reveal any possible vulnerabilities within our network. Administration recommends that the board approves the contract with Absolute Technology for the amount of $229,000, which would be taken out of District 3 funds.
Mr. Martin?
Yes, ma'am.
We've worked with them before, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't
Yes, Miss
find.
We have. The last 2
okay.
years, we have contracted with Absolute Technologies.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I went back and was looking through all my notes and couldn't find it. Is this basically that same contract, it's just that the year has come
Yes,
up?
ma'am.
And, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Otis Elevator Company, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration is recommending that the board approve a contract with a company by the name of Otis Elevator Company to service our elevator at Nacogdoches High School. As I understand it, our elevator at Nacogdoches High School is roughly around 40-plus years old, has never been serviced, and we're recommending that for this particular contract that the company changes out the oil and hydraulic lines in the elevator, as well as hydraulic.
When I was there last, the elevator didn't work. So is this repairing or just
Maintenance.
changing the oil?
This, and we'll explain a little further in the next item on the agenda, but yes, it is repairing the elevator
Okay.
overall. Yes,
All
sir.
Yeah.
Because the custodians weren't very pleased with having to carry the tools and utensils up the stairs.
Reverend Irvin, we got so many hiding in the stairs, so skipping classes.
So how does that affect our elevator over at our new school at Carpenter? Is there some way are you going to have to do the same to get a contract there for that maintenance?
Eventually, that one is brand new, and eventually, we will have to have some type of maintenance service agreement or a schedule for repairs or even maintenance on it.
But it is under warranty at present,
Yes,
correct?
sir, the present it will be under warranty.
So we only have one elevator at the high school, is that right?
Yes, sir.
But there's 3 units within that one
sorry,
elevator.
I'm sorry.
Because this is number of units, 3.
It's two, isn't it?
I apologize, Dr. Gorman. There's one elevator in the Nacogdoches High School, and there's one elevator over in the 9th grade center at
Right there.
Nacogdoches High School.
So it's two elevators.
It's two.
Okay, but it says 3. It says 3 units.
TJR.
TJR has one.
TJR.
The elementary school has an
But
elevator.
the address it gives is Nacogdoches High School, Appleby. Maybe we need to figure that out. One thing I want to say, and speaking in favor of this, is they talk about a pump, a motor, and valve, and I imagine a pump for this elevator would be more than this amount of money. Does that figure, just one of those things going out because of the hydraulic stuff being bad? We would pay a lot more than that, and we still have to change the hydraulic fluid too, right? So preventive maintenance, I think that's very important that we do that. It's very, very thoughtful.
What is the price of an elevator nowadays?
Mr. President, I'd like to defer that question to Mr. LaRue.
We just bought one at Carpenter.
Good afternoon, President Irving, board members, and superintendent. His technical term would be a lot. It depends completely on, at the old university building, they're putting in an elevator that you can enter from what you would consider the front, and then when you get to where you're going, you're going to exit the back. So it depends on all the bells and whistles, but they're a little over $400,000 on a 2-story elevator. So they're not cheap. One's built into Carpenter. Let me just add that the one at Carpenter is an Otis elevator. The one at the OUB will be an Otis elevator. So we're at least keeping them all within one company.
One company.
That company is the same company that's at the college and the same company that's at one of the hospitals. Because of the hospital and the college, they keep Bruce, the elevator guy, here stationed in this area. So we get really good service when there's something that goes wrong. However, at the high school, as Mr. Martin indicated, that unit is 44 years old. It has been serviced annually for its inspection, but no major components and repairs and replacements. So now it's time for, which I believe is the next item. As for the oil changes, the big thing is it's oil in the hydraulic unit is just like oil in your car. It just keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner as it ages, and dirtier, and it makes your pump work harder and harder and harder. And it can fail. It can be pump failure. It can be fire situation. So it's a critical maintenance, preventative maintenance item.
And this will be for NAC, the 9th grade center, and TJR. Those are the
And
three.
the high school.
And that's-
Three
Right.
currently operating systems.
Right.
We have not taken over the new one at Carpenter, because as you indicated, we have a 1-year warranty with the.
Right.
That comes with the construction.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, Mr. Morton, Otis Elevator Company again.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll ask Mr. LaRue to stay at the podium just in the event the board has any clarifying questions. Administration is recommending that the board approve to upgrade the controller, door operator, fixtures, and power unit on the elevator at Nacogdoches High School for the amount of $51,530.01. We'll be happy to entertain any questions the board may have.
Just frankly, it's time to do something with it. It really is.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work, it doesn't work now.
Doesn't work.
No, if we have it, might as well let's have it. Let it function accordingly.
Absolutely.
Well, again, we are obligated to have it
Right.
to provide services.
Yes.
Get a kick out there. Or we have to provide those services somewhere else, an alternative location.
All this will be carried out before summer's over, correct?
No.
It will not,
As soon as possible.
as soon as possible.
Welcome to America.
But it will not disrupt classes or anything?
No, it will not disrupt classes, no.
Okay.
The hydraulic changeout is real simple. The rebuild at the high school, until they get your approval, we couldn't give them a PO, and they couldn't order parts and
Okay.
everything.
We're waiting on parts. Got it.
Yeah, how many, what's the new mantra for everything?
If you find that model.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The annual review of the local policy, CDA, and this will be brought to us, presented by Ms. Barbrick.
Thank you, President Irvin. This is our annual review of the investment policy. Section 2256 of the Public Funds Investment Act requires the board to review the district's investment policy and investment strategies not less than annually, and to adopt a resolution reflecting the board's review and recording any changes made to the investment policy or strategies. We are not making any changes to the investment policy at this time. You will find the resolution on page 100 and our policy on page 101. Do you have any questions?
There are no questions. Thank you, Ms. Barbrick. We'll go to the submission of the MPS non-corporate resolution. Ms. Barbrick.
Again, thank you. This is on page 107. Multi-Bank Securities is the company we use to buy our certificates of deposit, and we are just changing titles and just updating the contacts for this company. Other than that, there are no changes.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Barbrick. Now we proceed with the items from the discussion action portion of our agenda. And at this point, we're going to have Dr. Trujillo to talk to us about the consideration of the endorsement of a candidate for the TASB Board of Directors.
President Irving and Board, you have two attachments that are there. The TASB overview, the 2022 nominations information and biographies, and then you also have the endorsement form for the individual. The board discusses the endorsement of Tony Rahman for Region 7 to the TASB Board of Directors. Between Sunday, July 3rd and Monday, August 29th, 2022, Region 7 districts are invited to endorse the candidate for Region 7. If the majority of the active members of the region endorses a candidate, that individual will be elected to the TASB board. If at least 25%, but not a majority, endorses this candidate, the individual will be included in the official ballot for the TASB Delegate Assembly. Attached is a list of TASB Director candidates. There is only one candidate for Region 7, and that individual is Tony Raymond.
Dr. Groman, do you know him?
I interviewed for this job. At the request of the board.
Right.
I interviewed for this job, and he was selected.
Okay.
He's got his references, and he has 1 year of experience.
Okay.
If we just approve this, normally what they'll do when they want to do this, people in my class have wanted to be a director in another place. And what they do is they send out mail-outs, say, please, or they'll contact you and say, please endorse me. Did he contact you?
I did get an email.
What?
I received an email.
An email?
Right.
Okay. And so he just said, please endorse me.
Endorse us, right.
Okay. So if we endorse him, that just says we approve what he's doing, but does anybody know what he's doing? And number two is if we don't endorse him, that's not a negative thing. That just means that if enough people don't endorse him, he has to just go on to the ballot and run there. And we have an expert right here in this room. She knows more than I do about this.
I was going to say, Dr. Young, if you could enlighten us
Yeah,
about
that'd be
this individual.
So the
Actually, is that okay if
process
she-
is that when the Region Service Center recommends
You need the mic.
The process is that when the Region Service Center recommends someone, they have to receive more than 50% of that region's board vote endorsements in order to automatically qualify for the director's board. If they don't, then they are placed on the ballot, and anyone can challenge them and run from the floor. Do I need to explain what running from the floor means? So by not endorsing him, it would allow for a wider competition and for more districts to have their opportunity at placing someone to run against the recommendation for that board. And I'm not going to tell you what my opinion on that is, but I just do feel that there should be some freedom in who districts choose as their director. So, any questions about that?
My question would be to Dr. Groman, what would be your recommendation?
Thank you for asking. That's very polite. I think that if we don't do anything, that's what the majority of people do. They don't do anything. If they're really aggressive, they start calling, they contact people. And I think he's just kind of just send out an email and see what happens. So I would just say we just do nothing, and we're not voting against him. We're just not endorsing him. That's what I would, if I had to vote by myself, that's what I'd vote. It's the will of the board.
So if we don't endorse him and he does get elected, and we didn't endorse him, is that going to fall back on us? And he's going to say, well, you guys didn't do anything for me, so why should I do anything for
He
you?
represents Region 7, so as a whole, representing an entire region, it doesn't single out an individual district.
Okay.
What you're looking at is an individual that is seeking a position as a Region 7 director when it comes to TASB. So endorsing, not endorsing, it's not going to be in any negative light. It's just the fact that giving this board an option to cast their vote and elect, just like in any situation that we have. But no, this is a Region 7 position.
And the directors primarily work closely with the superintendents.
Right.
So that they have an idea of what the board wishes for each specific district.
But what would be your recommendation, Doc?
Well, it's, I think each board member needs to vote their conscience. This is where you have an individual vote with regard to collectively, whatever comes out from that vote is what we would submit to the Region Service Center. So my advice to the board is not for me to tell you what and how to vote for this is inform yourself on the individual, find out who the individual is and what he stands for, and then as a collective vote, you cast your vote. Or you can select as a board, we're just not going to take any action. It's been presented to them, and there's no action that's taken.
Dr. Young, I know that you're all over Region 7, and do you have any knowledge of this individual that you could share with us?
I do, and one of the, concerns that I have is that they are a baby board member. And so consequently, their knowledge of school board governance across the district, the perspective from a superintendent's view and how it impacts a school district as a whole is shallow at this point, right? So, that would be my concern, because the director does speak on behalf of all of the region service center. So, I mean, of the district region space. So, again, vote your conscience. It sounds like someone who is, I know who it is, but, and they are seeking leadership. But, we all have steps that we need to take in that process, so.
Dr. Young,
Appreciate that,
Absolutely.
Dr. Young.
I have another question.
Yeah.
From Region 7, one person is nominated, correct?
That is correct.
It means there are other people who are interested as well. However, this person got the most vote for the time to be nominated. Is that what it means?
No, sir. It's an interview process, and they had a number of people that applied. They reduced that number down to their highest prospects, those with who they felt would do a good job for the region. And then they interviewed those, and from that interview, they chose one person to endorse. It isn't always that person that ends up elected in that position.
I perfectly understand. However, we don't have any knowledge of who is who on this list anyways.
If you click on the list, it gives you...
I know, I understand you can read,
Right.
but do they have any presentation of Region 7 or ideas of what's going on in Region 7 as a whole?
I think my question kind of goes with that, so I'm going to put it in there, and then maybe when you answer. So if we don't endorse him, and not enough people do, so then he's put on a ballot, but he would be put on a ballot with people from other regions, right?
Only if they chose to run on the floor, at the actual event. So they would have to put in that they want to challenge that position and run on the, on the floor at that time.
But, it's possible then that our slot is going to be taken by someone from another region?
No. Everyone that applies or even can be put in, it can only be in that region. So, Dr. Groman, do you mind if I use you as an example?
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say Dr. Groman decided to challenge this person on the floor. He would need a second person who seconds the motion to challenge and identifies him as the challenger. And then at this large conference, all of us in the legislative advisory area, we vote, right? And so you get to choose who the endorsed person is, or possibly not endorsed, but recommended by the board, or the person who challenged on the floor. And I have seen it where there have been 2 or 3 challenges for one position.
Yeah, okay, that really helped me.
So then there was a vote down.
It helps me, but ultimately it's going to be sifted. It's going to be a process.
Ultimately what?
It's going to be sifted. In other words, challenge each other until somebody comes on top. That's
Right.
basically what it is.
Yeah.
So,
But this just, if he doesn't get enough endorsements, then it just kind of kicks it into a bigger pool possibly.
yeah.
Possibly.
What I
Possibly.
hear right now, they said the years of experience is limited. That's what they say. However, there are some others that years of experience limited. I'm one of those firm believer that if somebody has potential, give them a chance. As an athletic director, I try to interview those people who I felt they were qualified candidate for 2 reasons. First, maybe one of them rise to occasion. Second, the rest of them learn how to interview for their future. It would be a help. Just being for Region 7, they probably have a small chance, opportunity, but maybe it would be a learning process for that person.
I guess my response to that, Coach, is just the fact that if this individual has such an important part in Region 7, and I understand you're wanting to give them the chance, but I think from my perspective, we need somebody that has the knowledge and the experience to be able to represent us. That's my feeling.
I have a question. When you were saying they interview, and
Yeah.
I know what Region 7 is they the staff? Is there a board? Who was it that interviewed these candidates and made this
The
decision?
TASB Board of Directors, not ESC 7, the TASB Board of Directors. So this is all a TASB
So they
element.
weren't regional people to our area?
No,
Oh, okay, that's
No,
really
ma'am.
helpful. Thank you.
you're welcome.
I was interviewed by 4 presidents, past, future, and present. And so what happens in this, if we do nothing, he still is going to be, his name is on the ballot. Okay?
Right.
And if more than 50% don't vote for him, then he can't hurt us because there's no endorsement. And it was really hard for the people that are not known, that are from my leadership TASB class, for them to win a 50% endorsement, okay? So that's really kind of hard. So even if we get real picky about it, it's still, it's not a given that he's going to get 50%.
Got it.
Most people say, I want to choose at that meeting who the best person is to represent us. And so that's the way it's set up like this by TASB.
And it's at this convention in September?
Yes, ma'am, and those that serve on those that are your delegates, which you'll have one, and then you'll have an alternate, that person will be voting in
Got it.
that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, can we pull this item?
Pull this item?
Holly, I don't know, this is coming from, we'll have to,
Sure, the regular meeting has not been posted yet.
yeah, okay.
Can you-
So, in my
you make a
understanding, we
motion
need
to
to
take no
have a vote.
Okay.
Do we need to have a vote?
Let me simplify it. Let's leave it on the action part of the agenda, and you guys have to Thursday
Yes.
to think about it, and when we come to this item, you can either vote yay or nay.
Okay.
And that'll settle that.
Okay,
Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
that's fine.
Is that fair?
That's how it should be.
Okay. And we won't put it in the consent agenda. We'll leave it as an action item.
Right, yeah, let's not put it in consent.
Right.
Deal with it separately.
And then that way, you can vote your contents. Is that fair? Everybody good with that? Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Young, and each of you board members for giving us your thoughts. The board will now conduct an executive closed session to discuss items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meeting Act as allowed by the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.074, and 551.129. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any actions the board wishes to take as a result of discussion in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. It is now 12:49, and we will not reconvene into open session before 1 o'clock. Is that good?
Not before 1 o'clock.
That's like 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes.
Is that good? We got that much to talk about?
He knows he got one.
Y'all have a lot to talk about?
You know better.
1:15?
I've
Is
Not
that better?
before 1:15.
got a couple things.
Before 1:15.
Okay, before 1:30. Before 1:30.
Before 1:30.
Sit
All right.
down, wait a minute.
Before 1:30.
Wait a minute, not before 1:15.
See, I was gonna get new glasses. I gotta go
So
this
just my
weekend.
password is what you need me to write down?
You got new glasses, I thought you did. I did.
Well, I'll try again.
The board is now reconvening into open session at this time, and it is 1:44. Are there any requests for future agenda items? If not, we will entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn. I said I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
So, it's been moved and second? So moved. Thank you so much.